Farscape Engineers Inspector Summary Repair Video. Here in 100 Main Street in Little Falls. And what this is basically a guideline as to what needs to be done on this Farscape. The Farscape does not pass inspection. A couple of things right off the bat. All the original hardware is still on this Farscape, this is a 50 to 75-year-old Farscape, and all the original square head bolts everywhere is still on this Farscape, including the supports. So I'm going to give you guidelines as to how to properly repair this Farscape. Because again, all these square head bolts that are going from this side to that side must be replaced. But the rivets on the flats going this way do not need to be replaced unless they've got corrosion inside them. All support corners need to be rebolted. Change all these square heads out to hex heads. But none of these bars need to be done. Just doing a Farscape inspection. Farscape inspection. Okay. All these bars here don't need to be done. If they're good and they're tight, they stay. Any connections back to the building must have new hardware. Confirm that the Farscape is good, structurally sound, must remove all rust from any and all connections. Now, as you can see, there's some buildup of rust inside here. All that's got to be cleaned out. Then silicone shut this. Again, all square hardware that is critical connections, meaning what's part of a frame, part of a support that has square head bolts on it. I want them all cleaned out. New bolts, then silicone shut all these connections so that the water doesn't get back in here. Okay, so now, going down the stairs, 100% of these treads needs to be rebolted, all the rust removed, then rebolted. Clean the areas inside the treads, then silicone shut it prior, because there's water buildup on these. So you definitely, after you put these back on with new bolts, you definitely got to put silicone seal that so that the water doesn't get back in there and rot them out like they are right now. Okay? Notice all the connections here. Squares. These all got to be changed out, cleaned out and changed out. This is all got to be new hardware. This is major critical connections. The stringers, both sides, connections up here. This is a rivet. That's the only thing holding. This is a 50 to 75-year-old rivet there, and a 50 to 75-year-old rivet there. You can put a gusset over here now. Put in 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here, and that rivet can stay if it's in good to excellent condition. But I need 2 backups here, 2 backups here with a gusset plate. Otherwise, we can't sign off on that because that rivet is 50 to 75 years old. So on this Farscape, 50 to 75% of the Farscape, you're going to need to bolt and or reinforce in order for us to sign off on this. But minimally, all the treads and all the supports need to be reinforced or rebolted. Treads, mainly it's rebolting. Farscape needs a full paint job. It is older than 1978, so this Farscape is deemed to have lead-based primer and paint. So it must be a licensed renovator. See this right here? Look at all that rust. All that rust needs to be cleaned. All these bolts need to be changed out. So all major structural needs to be changed out to new hex heads. But inside here, if there's nothing going on here, this can stay. You don't have to change these out because these are just the pickets, and if they're strong, they're good. But a corner like this, you need these are all 50 to 75-year-old bolts that need to be either reinforced or replaced, and a lot of times it's faster to replace these 4 bolts than it is to reinforce and keep the originals. Make sure that every tie back into the building, we need to expose this, so this needs to be opened, and we need to verify that this connection into the wall is good, or you make a new connection off to the side that's exposed and then tie it back in. So keep the original, give me a new one. So this has all got to be nice and tight in order for us to certify this Farscape on our calculated load test. This ladder is another issue. This ladder and that other Farscape there's 3 of these that I got to look at today. Here's the issue. We're going to let the fire department be the decision maker on whether or not this ladder, this is called a fold out. And as you can see, it's very difficult to drop. You're not supposed to have these, this here. They're supposed to have a slide down ladder or a permanent ladder here on the side that you can jump 7 to 9 feet to the ground. And that's what we recommend, because these flop outs, as we call them, they're not manageable. And once they start swinging, anybody down below is going to get hit in the head. It could hurt or kill them. So unless the fire marshal okays these, we're not going to sign off on the ladders unless they've modified to either a slide or a permanent ladder on along the wall. And again, people can jump 7 to 9 feet to the ground as per code. But as is the way it is, unless the fire marshal is going to grandfather these in writing, we're not going to sign off, because these flop outs are illegal. Because they can cause damage, bodily damage, or bodily injury to people. Alright, we're going to be looking at that Farscape, same scenario, so a lot of times we're going to just repeat ourselves. We got 3 of these to look at. But again, Farscape Engineers, Inspector Meneses, Any questions? 800-649-3333, 800-649-3333.